Welcome everyone, welcome all. I'm your host Michelle. Welcome to our first episode of Composing the Creation 101 tutorial on creating AI art. Reason why I'm making this episode is because I've had fellow creators and fellow photographers ask me, how do I do it? And I have been slacking on this, so I want to welcome everybody that was and is interested in this to this first episode, as there will be plenty of more to come. So first off, I give you a little background of just of what I have done in the past and still do to this day. So my background's in photography, and I have been doing it for, I'd say, the last several years. Though the past 6 months to a year, it's been more off and on due to some health issues, but I am getting better. I appreciate your consideration and concern. But in that time, I have been delving into AI art, also known as synthography. I've been interested in a while, but I have never dove into it as much as I have now, and was like, this is cool stuff. Now I know there's a lot of debate on whether it's good or bad, what the implications are. Is it stilling? Is it this or that? It's a topic for a different day. And I do have some words on that, but I'll leave that for a different episode. But for this episode, I would like to go over the basics, the bare bone basics of how to get started. What's the best way to get into it? Obviously, there are the more homegrown ways to get into it, which a lot of people do, and they build it basically on their PC. I didn't really have the knowledge to do that. I have more knowledge now, but it does require some extra work, which I'm willing to put in. But until then, I found in some other ways. Mage.Space, the screen you're looking at right here, create anything, and you can pretty much create anything that you put your mind to, with some bending here and there because it'll do anything, but there's also limitations and restrictions, or depends on what you do. But for the most part, you can create pretty much almost anything. A couple of disclaimers. I will try my best not to, first of all, there's a lot of not safe for work stuff on here. And I suppose the creations or the subjects that I'm working on is not safe for work because they're wearing lingerie. But there's plenty of other stuff that isn't safe for work that's a lot more risque. But today we're not going to do that sort of stuff. I'm going to keep it simple, keep it sweet, and we'll work from there. The other thing that I want to put out is that all my subjects or models are at least 18 of age. So in my search of how to create AI art, I found this site called Mage.Space, and you can find a lot of information on YouTube about it. And here's a new video about Mage.Space. But this episode is not about this site so much. It's about how to get into AI art, how to build a composition, at least the first composition. And being that my background is in photography, I would like to approach this as a photographer. And because a lot of people that were asking me are fellow photographers, I felt this was the best way I could approach it. It may be a little bit complex for people that are not in photography, but bear in mind, whether you're a photographer or not, I would like to make this as easy and simple as possible, step by step as we go through here. So let's get started. First off, you see this screen here, just create anything. I've kind of gone over that already. The most important thing to know about this site and many others is that this is more of just a user interface for Stable Diffusion, essentially. Stable Diffusion is essentially the backbone generator. Some people refer to it as a model, but generator as in everything that's built on this site is built from that platform or generator. I'll just refer to it as a generator since that's what it is. It's a generator. So we have, I'll go over these different actions later, but it looks a little complicated, right? I mean, this is the prompt. This is what you put in to basically create this image here. And I have it as a photographer would. Long, medium shot, faces, stomach, portrait, professional photo shoot, a beautiful 18-year-old woman. And some may notice or recognize that this is based on Eunji Pyo, which is a Korean model. Look her up. She has a good look. She's a very good looking woman. But essentially I create this just to show you what it can do. And there's a slight resemblance of her in here. Well, let's go back. We'll talk about all this stuff later. Actually, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to our first screen here. What I would highly suggest if you're going to do this is have some sort of notepad or something that you're going to be copying and pasting. In fact, I'll show you what I have. So the same prompt that I just copied from that image, that composition I created, is the same here. I didn't make any deviations or nothing. I may have and not remembered, but for the most part, it is the same. Originally, it was something different. I reorganized it in how I do my prompt structures. We'll talk about prompt structures a different day, but just so you know that it doesn't matter. This is a generation space. This is where you put the prompts. I'm going to copy and paste it right there for you. That's the same prompt that I took from here and put it over here. And this is one I did create already. And there's another one I created. Actually, there's others here. Yeah, these are all the creations I have generated off the same, basically the same prompt. I think there's maybe a slight difference here or there. And see, as you can tell, there's one that looks kind of younger. You can control age to an extent. I strive to keep it reasonable. Let's take some stuff out of here. We will put this stuff back in, but I'm not gonna really change anything. I'm just gonna take some stuff out. We'll keep our original prompt, and we will, let's see, all these things are important, you know, different descriptors and characteristics of our subject. And then the feel, how detailed, the focus, all these things, for the most part, is related to photography in one way, shape, or another, or sometimes gaming, as in how real the game looks, and then cinematic lighting, but we're going to keep it simple. Okay. Now, I may pause here and there just in case. Sometimes a not safe for work image pops up, so bear with me on that. Other times I may just run this as it's happening. So it does take time, so I may just skip that. A lot of times I probably will anyway, so just give you a fair warning. So we're not gonna do Eunji Pyo as, you know, we'd like to. She's a good looking woman and everything, but we'll stick with. So we can actually switch this up, but I'm gonna keep this the same way. You can even say a professional photograph of a stunning 18-year-old woman. Yeah, woman twice. So let's copy paste that. Cool. And we will start there. So let's go back to the image real quick. I showed you this. This is where we're gonna end up. I don't foresee this video being too long, but we will get to this point that you can create something like this. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep this as simple as possible. And if you're starting this for a free account, you only have these options, these three options here for free. So we're gonna do STL. I don't use it very often. Not that it's not a good, it's actually pretty good, but for what I like to do, I prefer to use, and I'll show you in a bit here. It's like I use different models. For this one I use Dream Shaper, and then, like I said, different ones give you a different, I guess, reality, you can call it that. So let's generate in real time. So it takes a little bit sometimes a little faster than others. It just depends on how busy the site is, but for the most part it doesn't take super long. I'd say 20-30 seconds reasonably. Anybody's keeping a time? Yeah, that's SDXL. That's the model version, dimensions, and we'll get more into that, but this is what we normally get. You can even see enhance it. You can enhance it, so it's high res. I usually pick normal, and I usually pick upscale and base fix. This is what you get for free, and which is pretty dope. That's pretty much what pulled me in. I was like, you get upscale and face fix, and I got on this site. We'll do this while I'm talking here. It's gonna take a little time. So I joined this site probably about, I guess, 6 months ago, maybe. I didn't start doing anything till about 3 or 4 months ago, and I started messing around with it. Face fix was hit or miss. Now it's like 90% of the time you can fix the face, and there was face issues like across the board. It depends on what you do. I know for a lot of images that were like the face is further away, the AI had a harder time generating details for that face. And you can put prompts in there to hone in on the face to make it more intricate, more detailed, more better looking, add more clarity to it. Well, in a sense, it's adding clarity, but not really. It's just getting AI to simulate is the word I'm looking for. And look at that. Looks like a very well polished glamour photo. Does she have all her fingers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, fingers kind of weird. Fingers are not perfect in Stable Diffusion or any generator for that matter, but most of the time you get good fingers. So not bad, not bad. So let's kind of go over this a little bit here. So I'm not gonna make that public. Remix is something I use very often, especially if I want to do some changes. Rerun, on the other hand, and we're gonna go, let's do remix real quick. So it takes you back to the original, and this is perfect because I can go over the settings with you real quick here. So aspect ratio, obviously they give you the aspect ratio. So if you want like a widescreen version of that photo or a photo image, you can have it. And we'll just test one out. And here we are, another version of our prompt, professional photograph of a stunning, beautiful 18-year-old woman. I don't know why it defaults to a Caucasian woman. Sometimes it defaults to Asian women. So I don't know, but we'll get to that in a second here. But here's our wide screen. You like a wide image like I do, and I like them, but for the most part it doesn't really work so well on Instagram. But it is pretty cinematic, right? So rerun is another tool I use very often if you're looking to get some different results with the same prompt and the same settings. I haven't changed anything at all. I'm gonna rerun it. And here we are, another beautiful photo, another professional photograph of a stunning, beautiful 18-year-old woman. This time more closer. We'll talk about different prompts that'll get different results. Right now it's random. It's actually, the less prompts you have, the more random the image is gonna be. So this one's more close up, the other ones were further away, medium shots, full body. So yeah, sometimes it puts a logo, I don't know what that is in there, but sometimes it does that. As far as our negatives, yeah, we don't have much in our negatives right now, but negative prompts is something we'll talk about later. We'll focus on positive, or rather regular prompts right now. So we're gonna go back to remix because I don't particularly do widescreen all the time. I particularly stick with either portrait or tablet. So we'll do tablet. And going down here, steps. So steps are basically, and they'll give you a little information here. Steps refer to the number of artistic steps the AI takes while creating. the more steps, the higher the quality, with diminishing returns. So basically, if you brought this down, basically it's going to give you less details. It'll go faster. I believe the generation will be faster, but it'll give you a lot less details. Yes, as you can tell, there's a lot less details here for look at our dress and everything. It's just kind of very minute. This is the bare minimum. I would never do anything less than at least 20 steps. I typically stay between 30 and 50 depending on how detailed it is. If it's really detailed, a lot of details, then I'll go high. I don't normally go beyond that unless I really need to do, I want the image to be a certain way. But as far as what I know so far, anything above 50 isn't gonna be too much of a difference. So we'll stay at 30. Different platforms, and I'll give you just let's see, different platforms. Some of my schoolgirls here. Different platforms have different terminology for this stuff. So like settings. So on this one, it's called sampling steps, and this only goes up to 60, but I believe it has, I don't know if it's scaled the same, like 60 is 100 for the other site, or not sure. Guidance scale, also known as CFG scale, on either Stable Diffusion. This site is a little bit more harder to navigate, operate, so I don't use it as often, but it essentially has the same tools to do what I do here, but I prefer Mage.Space, and as one of the most simplistic places to do AI art. This is why I use it quite a bit. So guidance scale it'll give you a little bit of information, is the level of freedom or strictness you allow the AI when creating from your prompt. Higher values force the AI to follow your prompt. So I will typically keep it at normal. Sometimes generations give some very odd results and I'll just kick it up a notch, but normally I don't take it beyond strict or very strict. Sometimes I'd have to, but very few cases that I'd have to. We'll keep it basic. I'm not really sure with refiner, but I think it's just something that's automatic. I didn't set that up. I didn't even set refiner strength. So scheduler is something we'll also talk about later, and I would highly recommend putting this on create privately if you're doing this on Mage.Space. Tensor has different parameters, but for the most part, here's Leonardo AI. I also do some work in here. Again, on the left side have similar, but it looks slightly different, right? I mean, but you have your dimensions, you have number of images. This is also so you can make an account for free. Like, there's some different tools here, but again, there's the guidance scale. There's some other things that are more advanced for the most part, but essentially it's the same stuff. Prompt magic, that's something new. But let's go back. All right, so where are we at? So we got professional photograph of stunning, beautiful 18-year-old. Let's bump this up. Let's do something a little bit more advanced, because we really want to get to here. This is where we're going to get to. It's not hard, really. So I'm not going to make another Unji peel, but we are going to get to that point. So let's go back to our prompts here. So that's the full prompt to get to that point, and it's not really hard. So as a photographer, I kind of approached this. I organized this prompt because I didn't. This is not original. Not well. The full paragraph of this prompt is not really original. As rather, I borrowed it and reorganized it. I'm not going to use everything again, but I do like certain characteristics and descriptors here. So for the most part, let's start here. Long, medium, shot, portrait, face and stomach. I don't typically use that, but let's see. Let's go back to our opera here. I usually put this at the very beginning. It's like, this is the shot I don't want to create. We'll get to like the commas and reasons for the commas, but the commas separate the prompts. So we got long, medium, shot. In fact, we'll make it more simple. I typically like a medium shot. There's also a reason for these parentheses as well. Parentheses add emphasis to your prompts. And the numbers, this is a little bit more advanced, but let's just keep it 1.2 for now. But the higher this number is, the more stronger it is. If you don't use these numbers, you can use parentheses and add like say 2 or 3 brackets or 2 parentheses on either side, and then you get a similar result. I use both for different reasons because they yield somewhat different results. So let's do this. Medium shot portrait, professional photograph of a stunning, beautiful 18-year-old woman. Let's say, let's give her a race. Let's do black woman. Let's see what we get. Steps are 30, guidance is normal. Everything else is set up, so we're good. Okay, well, we have some odd things going on here. Again, typically I don't use this model, but we'll switch it up in the next one. But yeah, so because it's a more bare bones model, there are more things you have to do to get your image to where you'd like it to be. And as you can tell, there's something going on with our hands and our arms here. So let's rerun it. Same settings, let's rerun it. Okay, that's a lot better. There's no weird things with our hands going on. Looks like a very stellar photo. You see some bokeh simulations in the back. That's pretty cool. So, as I said, I love the aesthetics of giving a photography look, especially since I do that anyways. So, yeah. Something to note as you pick different races, different things like hair is, you know, sometimes it's be a stereotypical type of hairstyle. You can't control that. Let's have fun with this. Her clothes are very random. Everything is random right now because we're just saying, hey, it's a medium shot portrait. It's a professional photograph. You can even say photo for short, of a stunning, beautiful 18-year-old black woman. Not bad. I mean, this is our first few generations here. So we're doing pretty good. Let's remix. Let's do something a little bit. Let's add something to the mix here. So we have our original prompt plus our added prompt in there. Let's give her an afro. Why not? Is that stereotypical? With blonde highlights. How's that work out? Not too shabby. We haven't even enhanced it. So afro hairstyle, it's I mean, they have different types of afro hairstyles, right? With blonde highlights. I like it. So I don't want to like take too much time, but I will actually, you know, we'll see what an enhanced photo looks like, and then we'll work in one of the models I prefer to work in. But if you like the realistic look, this is one good one to work in. SDXL as well as the first two versions that are very good to work in. But again, it's a very broad model generator. So I do use 2 or 3 specific ones in regards to generating really photorealistic compositions, as that's what they're meant for. These models in particular can do, I mean, it's more of a broader scope of training. As I stated before, the other models, most are trained to do more specific things that are very, if you're trying to get a more specific type of generation or composition, those are the ones you should be using. But hey, you can do anything, right? I think it'll be a little bit more harder to get, or rather you have to use more prompts to get certain types of looks in the initial generators. So not bad. I mean, again, looks like a very well polished, you know, Photoshop glamour image. A little bit more editing that I'd rather do. So let's use a model that I normally use. Switch it up. We're gonna switch up the model. This is gonna be a little bit more like, if you got the pro version, you'll be able to use this. Otherwise, you're fine here. Leonardo AI allows you to use other models for free. So we're gonna remix it. Essentially, we're gonna keep all the rest of the settings the same. I might add something to my prompt list here, but let's change the model here. Some models are more geared for not safe for work kinds of stuff. We're not gonna do that today. We'll save that for a different day and a different platform even. I used to use Deliberate and Dreamful a lot. They're not bad. I get similar results from Dream Shaper. And there's even a Dream Shaper XL, which is based on the new Stable Diffusion. I typically will use Dream Shaper. And if I'm not using Dream Shaper, I will use Rev Animated. As far as like, if I want more animated stuff, right? It has a very, but you can get some somewhat photorealistic looks as well, but they'll be more animated. Now, if I don't use that, you know, Unreal is pretty cool. Live Real is pretty good. You'll get, actually, let's just go here and test Live Real out. It has also some photorealistic tendencies. So I'm not gonna change any of the other settings. I just picked a different model. That was pretty fast. And look, it looks pretty cool. There's a little bit of photorealistic, a little bit of animated. This is more like in between. It can go either way, depending on the prompts, right? So I like it. I'm gonna heart that. Look at her eyes. You can also like make her hair look right now. It looks a little bit more animated. It doesn't look very detailed, but you can add prompts to make it a little bit more detailed. It's not a problem. But let's go back. Let's go to Dream Shaper, as I like the Dream Shaper is a little less animated and more realistic feel to it, or look to it. I also use Duke Hayden Journey, which gives a very realistic look. Sometimes a little bit too real, but not so real. Oh, Dream Shaper, there we go. Dream Shaper is one of my favorites. I guess all the ones I've discussed are like my top 4 to 5 favorites that I use. All right, and we have a much more realistic and detailed look just by changing the model to Dream Shaper version 8. I like this look. Again, I didn't change any settings. The only thing I changed was the model version. I like it. Now, remixing actually has a tendency, so it's something I forgot to mention, is the seed down here. Let's highlight it. So seed is the randomness agent for the AI. The same seed and same prompt will produce the same image. Reusing the same seed with different prompts can produce a cohesive style. So if I want to keep that one young black woman from before, there'll be some different slight differences depending on the prompts, but for the most part it'll be the same or cohesive, as they say, and I've gotten really good results like that. So let's add a little something here. I like to get a little bit more specific on certain things, so sometimes you just need to change some things up. So we're gonna add a bigger breast size. How about that? Even though you really couldn't see it in the image, it's okay. So we added C-size breast. I have emphasized it with the parentheses. Deep cleavage. Deep cleavage doesn't always show, but it depends on the shirt. But it does make a difference. And let's also add, since we don't want to drag this out too long, but we want to add some cinematic lighting. It will simulate the cinematic lighting. I normally put it at the end of my image, since that's the last thing I think about, which really should be the first thing. So maybe I'll change that up for later, but there's a reason why I put it last. So cinematic lighting, the only thing we changed, we added C-size breast, deep cleavage, cinematic lighting. Nothing else changes. The seed's the same too. As you can see, she looks more very light skinned. I know people like that, so that's not an issue. Not exactly the look I was going for, but her hair is a lot different. It's definitely not. Sometimes it will throw you curveballs, but that deep cleavage, though, you can see it clear as day. And a note on that is that when you add the deep cleavage, it'll give you outfits that more use deep cleavage, or you'll see deep cleavage in. Not all the time, unless you prompt it differently. Like, say if I put it in a crop top, it might be, you know, maybe swap under boob or something like that. So just some things to take note of. But for the most part, nice image. Again, her hair is different. It's not what I wanted, and sometimes you just have to, it's just all trial and error, really. It's really all trial and error. This is what I got. This is more of what I wanted as far as the look and the feel that I'm going for just creating a very simple composition portrait of a stunning, beautiful 18-year-old black woman with afro hairstyle with blonde highlights, C-size breasts, deep cleavage, and cinematic lighting. Cinematic lighting gives it a more dramatic feel. So maybe I'll go different on the lighting. We're gonna remix it. I know last time I remixed it, it wasn't really different. So let's go natural lighting. Soft lighting. Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. Deep cleavage, as you can see, C-size, breast size. See, you have a lot of control over it. Whatever prompts you put in there, I mean, obviously it's not always going to take note of everything, but the more simplistic it is, the more it'll take note for these simple stuff. So do we want to change anything, add anything to it? Let's see. I think we're almost there. I don't think there's anything that I left out. Shallow depth of field. Pretty much that takes me back to the original image you saw, minus the fact that it was a different subject. Let's add a couple of things to it and I'll tell you what it means. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remix it here. I'm gonna add shallow depth of field. I usually add it at the end. Again, it's something I think about last. I don't know why. That's kind of how I think about it, as like a photo in a way. It's like, it's kind of an afterthought. Like you look in the lens and it's just like, okay, you either see it or you don't. So it's technically the last thing you'll notice in an image, unless you're going for it from the get-go. Like, I want bulky in the back, so we gotta be shallow, or I want things to be blown out in the back. So I guess you could look at it as like, that's what I want from the beginning, but whatever. You can do whatever you want. In prompt organization wise, it's really up to you. As a photographer, this is the things I want. I'm gonna put in the prompts here in a second. Actually, I'm gonna bring it to the screen here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm taking just bits and pieces of the original prompt that I had. I'm not really changing anything. In fact, I'm moving out a few things. I'm not gonna have a blunt bob haircut for this subject here. I do want it detailed. I want it dramatic. Not so much award-winning. Actually, no, let's keep all that stuff. Let's realistic for masterpiece, and we'll keep it up to here. Actually, up to here. Masterpiece. Let's see. Remember to go back to my original screen here. And being that I like to keep a certain structure, I'm going to put all that stuff right in between that. That's how I like to structure it. And there's a reason why. Well, let me explain it for you real quick. So before we do anything else, the first thing I do, what kind of shot do I want? I want a medium shot. This is, in photography world, this is something you would think about anyway. It's like, what is my end goal? But you think about it first. So it's like in reverse. So kind of shot, medium shot, and it doesn't make a difference. I'm gonna mess with this after I create this generation, but just to give you a feel for the power that it does have. And typically I like to keep this number a little bit higher. 4. Let's go over our prompt. For professional photograph of a stunning, beautiful 18-year-old black woman. Afro hairstyle. So we're talking about our subject. This is our subject. This is the setting for our subject. Kind of the same sentence. Professional photo. Let's just cut this short. Saying the whole word. Professional photo of stunning, beautiful 18-year-old black woman. Okay. That's our setting. That's our subject. This is the descriptors for our subject. Afro hairstyle with blonde highlights, C-size breasts, deep cleavage, and then it goes to detail. So this is more for the general image or composition itself. It's not so much just for the subject as it more describes, I believe it more describes the whole composition versus, but you can actually do like specifics, like say detailed hair or detailed eyes or something like that, but we'll save that for more advanced episode. So we got dramatic, so it's gonna be a more dramatic look. Award winning, this is more of the feel for it. Sharp focus, on a sharp focus, not so much. It more simulates a sharp focus. Doesn't really, like, you know, AI. It's all digital, so it gives you the impression, the simulation that is sharp. Raw photo, like a real photo. Film. You can even go so far as to describe what camera you want to use. So let's say I'm gonna put a Z7. This is a new thing we'll put in there. Z7. Nikon Z7. Some people put like the D850 in there. So realistic, how it looks. You can go photorealistic. Photorealistic, put it in parentheses. Put more emphasis on it. Make it look more real. 4K. Again, there's a simulation. It's masterpiece. I've heard different things about masterpiece, but for the most part, I've only had really good results. But it's, from what I heard initially, it's more for if you are trying to do more like artistic, like painting stuff. But I typically leave it in there if I'm doing full realistic. I don't think it really changes anything that much, like to be more of a painting. Then again, I'm not really sure. Natural soft lighting, again, that's a different change from cinematic lighting and shallow depth of field. Let's see what we get. Pretty good. I mean, I'm not complaining about that. I think maybe we've lost our blonde highlights here and there, but for the most part, we have everything we wanted as far as our prompts go. Let's rerun it to see what we get. Nice. So one thing I wanted to add real quick is that I initially wanted to do make this statement from the beginning as far as what the seed is, what it's for. In, let's say, Tensor, for example, the seed is literally characterized as a dice. So think of your seed as rolling a lot of dice, and all those dice have tied to it a characteristic such as, like, oh, you know, the setting, atmosphere, the look, what she's wearing. All these different things are something that can change as far as dice. But when you do a remix, a lot of those things are locked in, or rather, some things will change, like the setting will change. It won't give you the exact same result. I've never seen the exact same result. Something will always change. Whether it's like, oh, well, she's hair is a little shorter now, maybe her lipstick's different, maybe it's showing a little bit more of her body. There's a billions of variables in regards to AI generation. I think that's a pretty cool thing about it, because you'll never have the same image twice, no matter what you do. The only thing you can do, really, and I haven't really done it, is the re-image. Re-image pretty much locks. So it will, I'll show you real quick actually. Re-image is not really an advanced tool, but so let's say I want a very similar image to this. And so everything should ideally stay the same, like the seed number here, everything is going to stay the same, except what I'm going to do, the main change I'm going to make is I'm going to change the model. So we're going to actually, I'm going to copy this real quick, copy this prompt, I'm going to re-image it. It'll take you back to the screen, so you can make some changes if you like. But see, if you notice, now have this image here, and this is available pretty much on any Stable Diffusion platform you can find. You can re-image it. There's some that don't allow you to do it, but for the most part, even the original user interface, you can do image to image. That's essentially what it's called. It's called image to image. So I'm gonna change the model here. I want to basically stay the same, or very, very similar. I want this look to be locked in. Now that car might be different. It looks like a upside down Volkswagen. I'm not sure what that is, but let's do Duke Hayden, my also other favorite. And look at that. It's damn near the same image, except under a different model. So I get a slightly different, more real look versus the last, as you can see down here. Look at that. It's damn near identical. Cars slightly moved around, but same setting, same atmosphere. I can change certain things about this re-image, but we'll leave that for a different day. That's more advanced. But just so you know, I just wanted to go over that tool because I know I didn't go over it for this tutorial. That's what it does. But typically I don't use that unless there's something I really want. Like, let's say there's a pose, like this pose is a good pose, right? And I want that pose for something else that I'm working on, so I will use it. I will use a re-image. It's a really good tool, especially on this site or other generators, but we'll say this site in particular, because if you're scrolling, you're exploring, looking for something, and it's like, damn, you know what? That's a pretty cool pose, or that's a pretty good look, or that's a pretty cool composition, and I want to do something with that composition, or look, the pose, environment, whatever. You can re-image, or you can remix it. Depends on what you want to do. Re-image it more bakes in that certain look. Remix, again, you can go in and change certain things about it. It doesn't have to be that, but it will just give you the same seed, and then if you rerun it, it'll change the seed. It will re-roll all those dice, and you may get something totally different. There's certain compositions where you get something totally different every time you rerun it, so bear that in mind. It's a good tool to have, but you never know what you're gonna get. So far, I haven't gotten a topless woman, so we're good. So I'm gonna remix this. I am going to take this out, clear it. These other tools in painting is more advanced, so we'll talk about that some other time. That's something I'm also not too great at, but there are some things you can do. I know Matt Granger in particular, he uses the in painting certain ones. He does like a lot of nudes, so he'll paint bras, or sometimes he'll paint like, you know, bikinis on his models just so he doesn't get demonetized. So we're gonna clear that image from our, so we just have the prompt again, and of course we have the seed from the last time. So bear in mind that seed is the same from the last image. I'm just gonna show you one more before we call it a day. Dream Shaper, no, not Dream Shaper, Absolute Reality is another favorite. If you really want like real and it still looks pretty dope. Now there's other ones like Consistent Factor. We'll go over some other ones in a different tutorial, but I like to use Absolute Reality, which is one of my favorites now. I just started seeing, well, I've noticed it before, but for some reason I've never really used it. But then I looked at the results, I'm like, oh shoot, actually I like it. I believe what it does, like say I'll make something in the Dream Shaper model version, right? And it will take, this particular model will take the same look, same feel, and makes it more realistic. Some models will make it look too real. Oh, it'll change almost drastically. It's like, is that the same woman? It is. It's the same prompt, it's just a different reality. You can kind of think about it like that. So I got something really different on this one. Again, same seed, the hair is really different. She might be light skinned. She looks a little Asian, maybe Italian, I don't know, but we'll like it. Not exactly what I want, but as you can tell, it looks a lot more realistic. You know, I don't know why it's, like I said, sometimes it'll give you these very odd results. I mean, everything else is good. I got the cleavage, I got, you know, the hair is not, it's not afro. It's definitely medium shot. It's questionable whether it's a black woman at this point. Maybe she's a fourth bat Asian or something else. Soft lighting's there. If, just so we don't leave with these questions on our mind, because I know like it's all trial and error, but if you're not getting the look that you want, you may have to boost this up a little bit. Like I said, I think the steps are good. We'll keep it at 30. Let's raise the guidance up just a little bit here. I think 10's a good number, around 10. Doesn't gotta be perfect, but in between normal and strict, let's see what we get. Okay, I mean, it's still questionable, but I'm not getting the afro. Maybe because it is a more realistic model, but it shouldn't really make much of a difference. Let's remix again. This time I'm going to show you the power of, this is all in real time. This is not pre-recorded. I mean, it is pre-recorded, but this part is all realistic. So I'm going to use these parentheses here and add more strength is what they call it. So let's see. Let's add one here. because I'm not exactly getting what I want, and when I don't, I'll have to do some things. So I'd first go to my guidance scale to see where it's at. Normally it's normal. If that's not working, and it might be just because I was using the same seed. That's a lot better. So if you remix this, so this is a note, because I sometimes forget, but if you remix this, because remember, remixing, you're just changing a few things, you're using the same seed essentially, but if you remix this before you rerun it, you may get the same results as the last, and that's probably why I got the similar results. But I remixed it and I got this. So you can get different results under a remix, even if it's the same seed. You can get those. So I think we're almost good. So let's, before we do a recap, before we sign off, I'll show you what the power of this medium shot portrait can get. It's more like a headshot right now, which is great. It's a good headshot. I'd be like, that's a real person, right? But let's do a remix. Now, as a photographer, it's good to note they are different, so you can do a close-up if you really want to. We're not gonna do a close-up. Let's go back to the original. Let's do the original and see what we get. So I want the long, medium face and stomach portrait. Just so I'm not deviating too much. Yeah, we added some different things, but I want you guys to be like, okay, I didn't really change much. I left out some things, I added some things, but for the most part, it's not too crazy different. Okay. So I want you guys to know that I'm not doing much changes from my original prompt. The only thing I changed up for the most part was the race, the look of the subject. Again, I didn't change any settings at all. As far as the environment, that's because I didn't mention it in the prompt, it'll just be random. But if you say it to the end, since we're already there, I will do you one. I'll add a little extra to this. We'll build on this, and I'll give you one prompt that'll change your whole life in this realm. So let's see here. So we got long, medium shot, face, stomach portrait. Let's do a little bit stronger. Like I said, I like to keep it a little bit more powerful. Now again, I just remixed it, so it's going to be the same seed. So I might get a very similar look as the last. We'll see. Okay, well, we definitely got a more wider. So again, long, medium shot, face and stomach. So we got all of these things that we wanted, and it even goes down a little bit further. It's a very nice photo, realistic composition of exactly, well, a few things. I mean, she's got a little bit of blonde highlights going on here on her right side. We'll like it. But for the most part, look at it. We didn't really change much. We changed a few things about the subject. We added some things. We even omitted some things. The reason why I omitted some things, I didn't feel like we really needed it for this tutorial. Again, that original prompt paragraph, I utilized from somebody else. Now I have my own prompts, but I just wanted to make a point that you can do a lot even if it's not exactly what you want it, but you can change it to how you want it. That's the point. I restructured all of this to the way I like it, and I got very good results. This is not bad looking either. Yeah, but anyways, before we get off here, let's do one more remix and or rerun if you have to, but I'm gonna give you location, something we haven't really talked about yet, something that's been very random at this point. So let's do something. So what I like to do, a popular area is let's say I want her to be in a Chinese garden. I know it's random, but it's not random. There's a story behind it. I'll leave for a different day. So, Chinese garden in parentheses. Let's say posing in Chinese garden. Now, we haven't even talked about poses yet, but again, that's a different topic for a different day. So, our main change here is adding an actual location setting for our subject. And what will we get? Okay, not the best, but hey, it's a Chinese garden, is it not? I've been to a Chinese garden. This is in some places where it looks like. There's some little things going on with her fingers here on her right hand. Let's do a rerun. Let's see if we get something better. She's wearing some kind of again, you have control over this stuff, but her bra, panties are blue and looks kind of random. So that, again, that stuff can be controlled with various different prompts. But again, that's a topic for a different day. I'm just taking notes of the different topics I want to go over that are not going to be as long. Okay, not bad. I mean, it's a little more closer shot, but we still have the stomach in the shot. We still have the face in the shot. It is more or less some sort of Chinese garden. Really can't tell in this image. Shall we do one more rerun to get something better? It's literally trial and error, rolling the dice to see what you get. And if you get a good look, then you're good. If you get something you really want, you're doing even better. That was fast. Again, same thing. I'm not really getting blind highlights really well, but it's okay. For the most part, we got what we wanted. She's in a Chinese garden. Got a long, medium shot, includes her face and stomach. And I like it. She's even got a piercing down here, which you can either have or don't have, but for the most part, we didn't change our prompt at all. I mean, so let's go back to our original here. I know this is a boring screen, there's not much to look at. So our original prompt, this is basically what it was. Long, medium shot, face and stomach portrait, professional photo shoot, a beautiful 18-year-old woman, Unjibyo. Professional photograph of stunning woman, flat stomach, slender, blunt bob haircut, C-size breasts, deep cleavage, details, dramatic, award-winning, sharp focus, raw photo, film grain, realistic 4K masterpiece, octane render, Unreal Engine, volumetric detail, shadow depth fill, and cinematic lighting. We changed very few things. And do I have it up already? No, I don't have it up already. So that's one of our images. We've gone. So our original image in the scheme of things. So our original image, we got this. We omitted quite a bit from our original prompt. This was essentially where we started. But when we changed it up, we got some pretty good results, as you can see. I haven't refreshed this, but let's just show you what I got. So as you can see, we have, this is the evolution we have. And we have gone from here, gone through here. We even started, our original image is one of these, right? Of the beautiful Unjipyo. Stripping away pretty much most of the prompts, we got something very similar. Went through here, got some pretty good results. This is the evolution we got here. I changed a few of the prompts. This is what I got. We even had some weird ones, some odd creations, but still beautiful nevertheless. And this is where we are. I believe we have met our goal. We went from this as being an image that we could get at the end. Now so here's the thing. This is a pretty good image. This has some little harsh lighting, so if you want to so I'm gonna just talk about this while I enhance this a bit. So we went from this, we'll go back to that in a second. So this is the image where we started, as the image I said I would get you to be. We have accomplished that goal. We talked about just the very basics of basics of the interface and how to make our creations by entering certain things, using certain tools in this interface to get our different creations. It's still enhancing. It's taking a little bit, but we'll get there. And that's a lot better. Even with the harsh lighting, that enhancement tool just makes everything all the better. Another thing to note while I'm here is that I have both the upscale and the face fix on, so when it upscales, it doubles it. Now it's 1024 by 1536, which looks pretty good on your computer. So we've talked about the basic tools to get to where go from here as this is where we want to finish, right? Except different subject, different race even, but essentially the same prompts for the most part. Pretty much the same. Again, some omissions, some additions, some changes here and there, but not drastic. In fact, I even added the Chinese garden. This, when I made this, was all random. I just put her in a bedroom at the end, that's all. You see the power from going from this very simple thing to going to this. The evolution of composing your creation, your subject. So I want to end there. We've accomplished our goal for today. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment, or you can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter and or Instagram. I put all my socials at the end, but anyways, comment, if you think the video was great, please like, subscribe, and if you find it very helpful also, if you find it very helpful to you, like and subscribe and share with other people you think will benefit from this. I want to thank you for joining me on my very first AI art tutorial, composing the creation, as I'm going to call it, episode 101. And I will see you on the next. Stay safe, be creative, and keep it real. Cheers, everybody.